Hi, this is your friend Faith Enriquez coming to you live from Grove City, Pennsylvania to talk with you again today about concussions. Now, I hope you were able to catch my last two videos. If you weren't, you can go back and watch them on my Facebook page. The first one was entitled, Do You Want Your Life Back? And in that video, we talked about my daughter Maria, who was very, very sick with a concussion. She had had a concussion for 3.5 months, was getting worse and worse, even with medical care. And how we met a doctor who surprised us by asking her, Do you want your life back? And gave her the confidence and the tools to actually do that, to get her life back. And the thing that he taught us is that there are 6 different types of concussions, and that if you can find what type you have, what the exact problems are and functions in your brain that have been thrown off by the concussion, that there are targeted, active rehab therapies that you can do to get your brain functioning at 100% again and to get your life back. In the second video, we talked about what exactly were I call them surprising and effective treatments that Dr. Collins and his team at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center Concussion Clinic, which is where we went, gave to my daughter to give her her life back. We talked just a brief recap of summary of what those therapies looked like. The first piece of it was just lifestyle changes, eating healthy food on a good schedule, sleeping, regular exercise, of course light at first, but definitely getting out there and going for walks, sleeping well, just good lifestyle changes, managing your stress. The second prescription he gave her was a straight up prescription for exercise. He had her coming back to his clinic several times a week and part of the exact therapy was called exertion therapy, and that is exercise. They had her riding on a stationary bike, running on a treadmill, doing things with catching balls and stepping up and down and all sorts of things to get her heart rate up and to exercise her. Again, this was in a stepwise way, step by step, to not push her over the edge into horrendous symptoms, but just pushing her right to the edge of the symptoms, then backing off, and right back to the edge of the symptoms, backing off. And that goes into the third piece of what the surprising and effective treatments we talked about the other day, and that was what the doctor called exposure recovery. And that means that you don't just retreat and hide from the symptoms. If something makes you bring on the concussion symptoms, you don't decide you're not going to do it, which is what your brain naturally wants to do. If something hurts, of course you don't want to do it. If something makes you feel terrible, or a place like maybe a grocery store or a busy place makes you feel terrible, of course your brain says, nope, don't go there. But what we have to do is to actually find the things that are causing symptoms and push the brain, again, in a careful, guided, step-by-step way, exposing it to the difficult stimuli until it can finally accept that it can indeed do those things again. And even the vestibular therapies and vision therapies worked in the same way, where they found the things that were giving her issues. Maybe it's turning your head this way, or maybe it's stepping up and down that's making you have symptoms. Well, they're going to make you do those actions to get your vestibular system and your vision system working properly again. So using exposure. So we were so excited just with this opportunity that Maria had to actually get better, to not just sit in her room and rest and get worse and worse, but to get better. And the fact is that she did get better. It took her 8 weeks, over 8 weeks of hard work. She made a full recovery, 100%. A month later, she was on the stage at her school, and was symptom-free ever since. So I just want to also reiterate that I'm not the doctor myself. I cannot give you medical advice. I cannot diagnose your concussion. I can certainly not treat your concussion. But what I can do is I can point you to a doctor and to finding the kind of care where you can get your concussion treated. You can get your life back. You can have a story like my daughter did, and thousands of other people every year who go to the UPMC clinic or to other clinics like it around the country. I just want to give you a short story of somebody else who was also helped by Dr. Collins, and he tells his story in this book. You can see the author is Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's probably a name you're familiar with. He and his father both were famous race car drivers. And Dale, in his book, which I just finished reading, it's a really good book and entertaining and informative. But he tells the story of having concussions. Back in 2012, he had a bad concussion, and then 3 weeks later, another one. It put him in a place where his doctor sent him to Pittsburgh to see Dr. Collins, and Dr. Collins at that point was able to diagnose the issues and have him better back in a race car in, I believe it was 2 weeks. It was a pretty fast recovery, and he did great for several years. He raced and had great success until in the year 2015 when he began to have some bad crashes and some bad concussions again that for over a year he hid from everybody. He didn't tell anybody that he was feeling all these symptoms, and over the years he had, I believe it was 8 different incidents more of concussions where he got worse and worse and worse, where finally he was at a place where he couldn't drive a regular car, never mind a race car. He could barely even walk a straight line. He couldn't look out of his window without everything looking like it was bouncing around. He was in a really bad shape, and he finally admitted that he needed help again, and he went back to Dr. Collins in Pittsburgh. And even in that really terrible condition of not having sought help as soon as he should have, which he would say himself, he was able to get the diagnosis of problems with his vision, problems with his vestibular system that interprets motion, problems with the anxiety and mood systems in the brain. And it took months of treatment, but he was able to get 100% better, return to racing, and have a successful final year of racing before he decided on his own terms, not because of concussion, to retire. So I know some questions. A lot of times when I talk to people about concussions and getting good treatment, they have questions for me. A lot of people are concerned that they're going to have to wait for a long time to get in to see a specialist. In fact, I talk to people every day who have either have waited or are waiting, 8 months to go see some kind of neurologist or specialist for concussion. You do not have to wait that long. Do not wait that long. If you wait for 8 months and let your concussion symptoms just continue and continue and continue, your brain is very, it needs to get healed. It will adapt itself in ways that probably aren't correct. If you just let these symptoms go and don't get them addressed, after 8 months, it's very possible that your brain has kind of rewired itself in the incorrect way, and it's going to be really hard, much harder for the doctor to get you back to where you need to be. It'll be like Dale Earnhardt, who waited and waited and waited and waited, and instead of taking only 2 weeks to get better, like the first time he went to the doctor, it took him months and months and months. He did get better, but it did take months. So that's the first question, is we don't want to be waiting months and months and months. We want to find somebody right away, ideally within the first week of your injury. You want to be finding good care, somebody who can actually pinpoint what is wrong with you. What exact type of concussion do you have? What exact motions and situations and things are giving you symptoms? And let's get to the root causes and let's start working on it. And I'm here to tell you that you can find help like that. You can find good help right away. You do not need to wait 8 months to get in to see some kind of neurologist or specialist. And I'm going to tell you how you can help yourself and find good help a lot faster than 8 months. Another question and concern people will ask me is, this must cost a lot of money. I mean, sorry, Dale Earnhardt, I can't afford to go to a fancy doctor like whoever he went to. Well, I would have thought the same thing too, but Dr. Collins and UPMC are surprisingly affordable, and a lot of doctors and therapists who give those same kind of treatments, it really is an affordable option. Does not involve expensive imaging equipment or expensive equipment. It really can be done very affordably. And a lot of these therapies and doctors are now being covered by insurance as well. So how do you find good care? And how do you find good care right away? And how do you not waste all your money trying all kinds of different things? How do you do that? How do you get your life back and find good care? I want to talk to you in some detail about that today. The first thing that you could do, ideally, is you could travel to Pittsburgh, to the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center's Concussion Clinic. You could see Dr. Collins, the same doctor who Dale Earnhardt saw, who is the same doctor that my daughter saw. He sees everybody. It doesn't have to be an athlete. It doesn't have to be anybody rich. He sees all kinds of people from every walk of life. And about a third of his patients come from out of state and even from around the world. And the way that works, if you would be interested in that option, is that you go to Pittsburgh for just one day. You don't have to take a month off of work or anything like that. You go to Pittsburgh for one day. You meet with Dr. Collins in the morning. He gives you a full diagnosis and assessment. He sends you to other of his therapists and specialists and doctors who are all under the same roof there at the clinic. They do different tests and put you through different workouts and therapies and things too to put in their diagnosis. Dr. Collins then meets with his team, and together they come up with a take-home plan for you. And they meet with you at the end of the day, explain to you exactly what's wrong with you, exactly what you need to do to get better, how to do all of the exercises, how to keep in touch, when to come back for a final assessment, and they send you home with your plan. Like I said, about a third of the 7,000 to 8,000 people a year who go to Pittsburgh, about a third of those people are from out of town. So it is a very viable option, and it is surprisingly affordable as well. Last time I asked them a few weeks ago, I was told it would cost between $1,000 and $1,500 as an option. And to me, to get your life back, that's not a lot of money. So that's the first thing you could do, is you could travel straight to Pittsburgh, straight to, in my opinion, the best doctor, and get top-notch care. But of course, I understand that for everybody, especially if you're somewhere else in the world, that's not an option, or that I know travel itself is expensive and somewhat difficult at this time in the world as well. Well, the second option is that, like I said before, Dr. Collins and UPMC, they've been studying this, publishing about this, lecturing about this, doing everything they can to spread the word about their methods of care for concussion, and word is spreading. And the best place I know of to find another doctor or clinic who is at least, I'll put it this way, they're at least aware of the Pittsburgh method and the way Dr. Collins and his team at UPMC treat concussions, is to go to a website called Impact. That's IMPACT, Impact, as in, a sudden impact. Go to Impact and find a place on their website called Find a Doctor, Find Care. An exact website you could type in for that would be concussioncareproviders.com. So that's a page on the Impact website where they have a whole directory. I think it's 17,000 different providers they have on there all over the country, of the United States anyway. And again, people who are at least aware of the fact that there are different types of concussions, that there are likely vestibular and vision issues to be looking for. And I can't guarantee that they're going to give you the same kind of care you would get in Pittsburgh, but it's going to be a lot better than somebody telling you to do nothing, or somebody who just kind of bouncing around from thing to thing, and really people who really don't know how to treat concussions, to find an actual specialist. So that's a place you could go to, would be to the Impact directory and find a physician or a therapist near you. Another directory I could mention is one that's run by a chiropractor out of Canada, and he has a site called CompleteConcussionManagement.com, and they have a slightly different take than Dr. Collins and his team at UPMC, but they have a lot of similarities, and they have a directory of mostly chiropractors who, if you're into that kind of, or if you lean more towards that sort of medicine, they have a directory of chiropractors and caregivers who also specifically treat concussions and have been taught a lot of really good information about concussions. Okay, so you could travel to Pittsburgh, you could look in one of these directories, but what exactly are you looking for? Because like I said, I'm not guaranteeing that people on these directories really are going to give you the same kind of care that you would get if you went to Pittsburgh. So as I looked and thought about what is it that makes Dr. Collins and UPMC different, because I've seen, like I said in my first video, I've had it's actually at this point 5 children who have had concussions, and I've been to lots of different doctors over a span of 20 some years. I've seen all kinds of care. So I really thought about what is it that I loved so much about UPMC? What made it work so well? So I've got 5 things that you should be looking for. You should take out a pencil and paper and write these things down. These are the 5 things to be looking for in a concussion doctor. You go on that directory, you find maybe 3 or 4 people in your area, and if I were you, I would go on their website and call them up and make sure that they are doing these 5 things. So let me go through what these 5 things are for good concussion care. My number 1 would be active treatments, not rest. If you go onto somebody's website and they say the most important thing you need to do is rest, I'm going to say, I think I'm going to move on and find somebody else. I want somebody who's going to give me active treatments, finding what's wrong, giving me active things to do to get better. The second thing I'm going to be looking for in a concussion doctor or specialist is an understanding of 6 different types of concussion. If they just have a kind of one size fits all, oh, you have a concussion, this is what we always do for concussion, here's the accommodations we always give out, here's the medicine we always give out, here's the whatever vision therapy we always give out. No, we want an understanding that there are 6 different types, or at least that there are different types. We want to make sure that this doctor is looking for vestibular issues, which is to do with the motion and balance and interpreting motion around you. This doctor is looking for vision issues, that this doctor is looking for migraine issues. The doctor is looking for emotional issues that often accompany or are even a type of concussion, that they're looking for cognitive issues, that they're looking for neck and spine to make sure it's not something in there that's giving you all of the issues, and that they're looking for all 6 different types of concussions, really giving a thorough assessment, not just one size fits all. No, you need to be assessed for your concussion, not some kind of just generic blanket treatment. The third thing I would be looking for is somebody who does exposure recovery. And remember, we talked about how with exposure recovery, we want the doctor to be finding what exactly is bringing on your symptoms. If you have a vestibular issue, well, the therapist should take you through a whole range of motions. That's what they do at UPMC. They make you do all these different motions and all these different movements and dynamic movements and turns and catching balls and twisting and going around cones and et cetera, et cetera. And they find out which things bring on your symptoms. And then they design exercises that incorporate those movements and make you practice and do those. Just a little bit at first, then more and more and more, until finally you're able to do those movements without feeling any symptoms at all anymore. Or if your issues have to do with light and noise sensitivity, that your doctor's finding that out about you and then helping you to expose yourself to those things just a little bit at first, but then further and further and further until finally you're able to do everything normal again, even if your normal is driving a race car, that you're finally able to actually get back up to that point again where you can do those things without having symptoms, because you've taught your brain step by step to do those things with exposure recovery. Number 4 that you need to put on your checklist as you're looking for a good doctor is you want a multidisciplinary team. There's so many different issues with concussion that there's no one person who can do it all. Even Dr. Collins he's the expert. He does not treat the concussion all by himself. He has a team of experts. So he has vestibular therapists, exertion therapists, vision therapists, specialist doctors who specialize in the neck and the spine. A psychiatrist who specializes in emotional issues if your emotional issues are severe. So that's what you don't want, somebody who thinks they have the answer, they can fix you all by themselves. You want somebody who has a team, or at least has access to a team, who knows, okay, you know what, this vision problem that you have is a little beyond what we can do here, but I have access to this vision specialist who I can send you to, and so forth. You need a team of people helping you, because concussion is a very complex issue and can require some pretty specific medical providers or medical experts, let us say. So we need a team treating you. And fifth and finally, and what in many ways I think is one of the most important things that you need on your checklist when you're looking for a concussion doctor, you want somebody who's going to give you hope and agency. So we all know what hope means. And hope is something that is horribly lacking in the field of concussion care. I'd say when I go online looking for concussion care, concussion protocol, concussion clinics, concussion whatever, 99% of what I see is the furthest thing away from hope. It's all about how you're never going to get better. People's stories of suffering for years. Even the doctors will just say that on their website. Many people will just suffer for years. And there's no hope. But we can figure this out and we can stop that and get them better. No, most of the sites just say people suffer from this for years and we can give you maybe a chance of getting better, or we can help you manage your symptoms. No, that's not what we want. We don't want to manage symptoms. We don't want someone telling us we're going to feel horrible for the rest of our life. We don't need that anymore. There are targeted active treatments that can get people better. So we need to find a place that can give you hope. Find somebody who says, I can figure out what's wrong with you. I can give you active treatments and we can get you better. That's what you need. You need hope. If you don't believe you're going to get better, if you believe that you're always going to be sick, well, you're always going to be sick. You have to have hope, because there is hope. People do get better from this. Don't believe all the media hype. Find someone who knows what they're doing and can give you hope. And the second thing I said on that was agency. By that I mean somebody who can give you control. People who have concussions feel like the concussion has taken over, has taken their life away from them. You need to get control back. And a good doctor who can help you with these targeted active treatments, they're giving you agency. They're giving you control back over your life. They're giving you things that you can do to get better. There's no magic wand the doctor can wave. There's nothing, no pill he can give you, or let me put you under and give you surgery and when you wake up you'll be all better. There's nothing like that for concussion. This is hard work, but it's under your control. Once you find a good doctor who can tell you what to do, you take the control. That's what my Maria did. She took control back of her life. She did everything that the doctor told her to do. She did all of her exercises. She changed her lifestyle. She believed the doctor and had hope that she could get better. And she did. And so can you if you find good concussion care. And the sooner, the better. In the next video, I have one more video in this series. In the next video, I want to tell you a little bit about my new book, and I want to tell you about how you can get this book for free. It's just a little book, just 24 pages of basic information that I want everyone really in the world to know about concussions. So I'm going to be able to tell you in my next video how you can get this book for free, or if you'd like, you can buy it on Amazon as well. New book, it's coming out on May 25th, hopefully, is the release date. And I'm also going to tell you in my final video about my dream of making this type of concussion care available all over the world. Right now, many thousands and thousands of people are suffering needlessly from this injury, suffering hopelessly. They have no idea where to go. They have no idea what to do. And my dream is to get the word out, to get the method of good care out, so that the world has hope and real treatments everywhere, available to everyone easily and readily, right away, within a few days of injury, that people can go and get good care and get better and get their life back from concussions. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a like or a love, leave a comment or a question, and please join me again for my last video. Until then, goodbye.